Well, good morning, everyone. It is the 2nd of November as of this broadcast, and welcome to Sipping Coffee with Spider. It's early in the morning, and you've got my tones to wake you up. So, what's the news from last week? Let's find out, shall we? Well, there's been a lot of bad weather recently. There was a tornado in Cleveland, Ohio, in that area, and there were 7 tornadoes confirmed as Michigan storms down trees and power lines. And that's from the Associated Press. So if you've been out and about over the last week or so, I hope you've all been careful. Everybody's been safe and all that good stuff. I hope your family is all safe as well. Moving on, NBC politics. More infighting here. House Republican demands unredacted January 6th panel transcripts from White House. They're trying to get all the different ways that the people were charged, I suppose. I think. Let me look at the details to make sure. The transcripts include interviews with Secret Service agents who were assigned to then President Trump on January 6th, 2021. That whole thing is a big mess. It's a huge mess. It calls into question like what's a protest and what's a riot. And when there's destruction of property and when people get hurt, it's clearly a riot. But if you remember, last year and the year before and the year before that, there were massive riots in big cities across the United States. And everyone kept labeling them as protests, but they were riots, you know? Once things start getting burned down, it turns into a riot. It's not a protest anymore. Okay? And, that's what I have to say about that. I think all that stuff should be prosecuted the same way. This one is only different because it's being tied to the nation's capital. But they should all be treated with the same level of harshness, I think. Let's see. PC Gamer says 7 years after launch, No Man's Sky adds its first new race in its biggest update of the year. Now, my daughter will be excited about that. She saw the update, but she didn't play it today. She's a big fan of that game because you can do sandbox stuff and do creative mode and go all over the place. She likes to collect pets like she's collecting Pokemon and things. So that's good for her. Good coffee. Now this is interesting. Xbox Game Pass users are divided over new depressing game. This is from comicbook.com. And apparently the game is Firewatch, which I played, and man, is it one of the saddest games I've ever played. Not in terms of the quality of the game, but the story is so emotionally sad. And you think it's going to go one way, and it doesn't. And then by the end, you're just like, man, I feel like trash. No matter what decision you pick, you feel like a bad person. And it's sad. Many recommend the award-winning game, which cracked 1 million copies sold within 1 year, but others are being bummed out by it. It's only a 4-hour game, and it's a great game. It's good, but man, is it sad. It reminds me of a book I read called On the Beach, which was also very sad. Saddest book I've ever read in my life. Firewatch. Let's see what else we got. Oh, look. Here we got some local news. A suspect armed with a BB gun robs a woman at Akron Dollar General. That's the city just north of me. Akron. And, Akron really has been getting the brunt of it. There's been a lot of violence up there lately. Like a whole bunch of it. It's kind of spiraling out of control. It's turning into Chicago, Detroit, and like New York level violence. And you can tell me all you like about, oh, these cities, you can't just stereotype that they're violent, but they are. That's just how they are. You get that many people in a place, and you're going to get a lot of violence. And this is like getting up there. Not quite Gotham City level violence, but it's pretty bad. So hopefully they catch the person and they start to shut that down. But I don't think it's going to do much good. CBS News says SpaceX gears up for second attempt to launch 4 fresh crew members to space station. They just launched some people not too long ago. And they're looking to send. Oh, yeah, this is the same people. These are the people that they were to send the other day. Yasmin Moghbeli, European Space Agency astronaut Andreas Mogensen, Japanese astronaut surgeon Satoshi Furukawa, and Russian cosmonaut Konstantin Borisov. First fully international crew to fly aboard a SpaceX ferry ship. So that's interesting. That shows that we can all get along as far as space. And you guys might remember that I've talked about how we need to be working together on space and not be divided. It's really important that we do. In entertainment sadness news from Billboard, Bernie Marsden, beloved Whitesnake guitarist, dead at 72. That is unfortunate, but that's a good age, I suppose. The rocker died peacefully, according to a statement shared by his family. We've had a lot of big name deaths recently. We had 2 WWE wrestlers, one a legend, Terry Funk, and one a relatively young guy, Bray Wyatt, who's a huge surprise. I would have been, I would have expected Terry Funk because of his age and the way he's treated his body in the business, as opposed to Bray Wyatt. I wouldn't have expected that as much, but yeah. So Bernie Marsden, not Barry, Bernie Marsden from Whitesnake. How unfortunate. And let's see. No, don't want to pick that. Earth.com says animal diversity can be monitored by collecting DNA from leaves. Isn't that awesome? You can just go up in the leaves and just collect DNA from anything that's walked across it, touched it, eaten it. I mean, we're so far along with DNA these days. It's incredible. I like it. And I'm down for it. And hopefully that means we can continue to preserve animal biohabitats and things of that nature so that they can continue having their happy animal lives, chasing each other around and doing whatever they do. I like animals. Oh, yeah, here's another one from WWG, and I know what it's going to be. New Star Wars game announcement has 90s kids excited. And it's not just 90s kids. I was an 80s kid, and I grew up and played this in the 90s. And Star Wars Dark Forces. Oh man, that was the jam. That was the game. It was the same as games like Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, all those early shooters, but it was, fighting stormtroopers. And like I said the other day, when I first mentioned this, I was excited about it. It didn't have you have a lightsaber in the first game. It was all just the blasters and things, which was a change of pace because almost every game since, even its own sequels, for the most part, have always been lightsaber heavy and Jedi heavy, where as far as your main characters go. Bounty Hunter was different. You played as Jango Fett, so you played with blasters. That was on the PlayStation 2, I think. And Republic Commando was different because you played a squad of clone troopers and no lightsabers there. But every other character generally, even Battlefront, like, you know what? Battlefront 2's, the newer one, its main story didn't have lightsabers. So that's cool. But all the multiplayer did. So, but whatever. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of game news here. I'm going to try to find something else. I'm trying to find something else that's not just game related. Man, it's like games are big news today. All big news. Okay, well, here's some other entertainment news from Rolling Stone, which is not always the most reliable of sources, but this is all right. This isn't like politics and stuff. I trust them for entertainment, but not so much for politics. Put the spice on hold. Dune 2 related until 2024. That's Dune, Dune. If you heard Doom 2, then I would have been excited, but that's not. It's Dune. And And I didn't see the remake, the first new one. I didn't see that, so I don't know if I'll see the second. I kind of have a soft spot for the old one, and seeing Sting all dressed up with that big red hair and everything. All those internal monologues slowed the movie down to a crawl. But I like it. I like it. Let's see. IGN says the DCU, the DC Comics universe, keeps disappointing at the box office. Can James Gunn save it? And I've liked some of his movies. I liked his Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and but I don't know. I don't think one person is the be all end all of what makes a good franchise, and I think they're putting too many chips on one table with this guy. I think he's going to run out of ideas, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm thinking about watching the Flash movie. I haven't seen it yet. I'm usually behind when it comes to movies because I don't go to the theaters so much anymore. Not after the virus years kind of ruined me on all that kind of stuff. And I also just don't like to go places so much. And I can't because I got to take care of things here at home most of the time. But I'm going to try to watch that Flash movie for the Keaton scenes more than anything else. But so who knows? I don't know. They're resetting the entire universe, as far as I'm aware, with James Gunn, and I don't know how it's going to go from there. I know his sense of humor, and I think it's going to be too much all over the place. But we'll see. We'll see. What's next? More game. Man, it's just game news all over the place. Here's one from Car and Driver. This is interesting. Great Wall Motor Company's Aura Funky Cat is true to its name. Now, what kind of a car is this? China's automakers have reached Europe, but will they ever get to the US? Let's see. Great Wall Motor Company's Aura Funky Cat is an electric hatchback from China's Great Wall Motors, an automotive group that produced no fewer than 1.2 million vehicles last year and is in a joint venture with BMW to produce the next mini EV hatchback. Now, I don't like minis, but whatever. And I think electric is going to be on the way out once hydrogen power really takes off because hydrogen is much more efficient and it's better. But who knows? And yeah, the funky cat. It don't look half bad. It's a little hatchback thing, but it's a little too round for my taste. It looks kind of like it's trying to be a Porsche, but not like the way the Beetle tried to be a Porsche, because Beetles and Porsches are related. But it's interesting for an electric car. I wouldn't buy one because I don't buy electric cars, but it's interesting. You can check that out on Car and Driver. Car and Driver. Continuing on with the news. Meet the Press says that Tim Scott has tense back and forth with New Hampshire voter over support for Trump. Tim Scott, I believe, is running for president. As an alternative to Trump. He's going to fail, of course. The South Carolina senator was one of the GOP candidates who said at Wednesday's debate that he would support Trump in the general election if convicted of crimes. And you know what? I think this is the way I look at it. If the Republican Party is definitely for Trump, then they should just all be for Trump and just be done with it. If they're not, if they're actively trying to hope that one of these other people is going to step up to the plate, then they need to just let that happen. I think they just need to bite a bullet one year and just be like, oh, you know what? We're not going to support this person. Our people don't support him anymore. And yeah, that might cost us an election this year, but it'll show that we're putting forth other people and other people eventually get popular. I think they just got to do that. Otherwise, it's just going to be, hey, you know what? You're stuck with Trump. And I'm not saying that in a positive or negative way. I'm saying that as a realistic way. If they don't want to be identified with Trump anymore, they have to take that step and be like, we're not going to do that anymore, and actively step away, even if it costs them an election. You kind of have to take that sacrifice. But if they're not going to do that, then they might as well put all their resources into helping him win. You know, there's no reason to go back and forth. It's just diluting the pool. You know, that's all. It's like with Bernie Sanders and Hillary. There was too much, like, Democratic Party tried to push real hard, be like, no, we're not going to do Bernie Sanders, we're going to go Hillary. But the voter base was like, no, give him a chance, and they wouldn't. But whatever. I don't know what to tell you. Oh no, this is good news. Another one from WWG. Xbox may get more backward compatible Xbox 360 games. I know it's back to game news, but hey, this is good news. I like getting backwards compatible. It says there are still 220 Xbox 360 games Xbox needs to make backward compatible. And they're shutting down the Xbox 360 store, ending their support for that console pretty much indefinitely for sure. And final nail in the coffin. I mean, there's 2 systems behind now. So I don't, there's logically no reason not to. But I would love to get more of my older games backwards compatible to play on my Series X. I would love for that to happen because there's a lot of gems, like the Chronicles of Riddick Butcher Bay, one of the best games from the 360. Never made it backwards compatible. War for Cybertron from Transformers, but there's rumors that that's going to be backwards compatible anyway, or they're going to do a remastered of those. And I would say there's a lot of good stuff that they could bring forward that they haven't yet. And I understand it takes time, but I'd do it. A lot of us would even rebuy it sometimes if we've lost our disc copies. Here's from Associated Press, and this is kind of, I got opinions about this, so hold up. Dutch brewer Heineken sells its Russian operations for €1, taking a 300 million euro hit. And I bet it's because they figured we're going to take a moral stand and whatever because of the war in Ukraine. And if you put yourself out of business, your moral stance doesn't matter because you're not around anymore. It's like when people here in America, in the United States, I don't want to say America because America is all of North and South America. In the United States, when the whole Ukraine thing happened, people were mad at Russia for every little thing. And so stores were saying, we're not going to sell Russian vodka anymore. We're just going to dump it out. And I'm like, you already paid for it. It's already paid for. You've already given Russia your money. If you have their product in your store, you might as well sell it and recoup the costs. And then after you've sold your existing stock, then just don't order anymore if you want to take your moral stance. But don't just dump it out. You're wasting your money for your sake of morals. And I get it. You can make your moral stance without wasting money. You can. But that's personal opinion. And I know a lot of people aren't going to agree. They're going to be like, oh, well, Ukraine and Russia and this and that. And, I honestly have no stake in that. I don't. And that's going to make people mad on its own because they'll be like, how can you not have a stake in these people for their freedoms, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a stake in it. I could care less. Does that make me a bad person? Sure, why not? All kinds of other things make me a bad person. We just add that to the pile. Why not? Here's a good one from CBS News. Hidden shipwreck from World War I revealed at bottom of Texas River amid hot, dry weather. How did it get there? The wreck was found in the Neches River by a local man, Bill Milner, according to a Facebook post by the Ice House Museum located in Silsbee, Texas. Portions of the wreck were in water that was just knee-deep, the museum said. Milner found the wreck while jet skiing in the area last week and hit something in the water. He's lucky to be alive. Turned out to be the remains of 5 different ships. Oh my gosh. The museum contacted the Texas Historical Commission to investigate and research the ships and later said that maritime archaeologist Amy Borgens told them that the wreck has been known to the Texas Historical Commission since the 2000s. Well, why didn't they do nothing about it? On Tuesday, the commission was able to confirm that the vessels were from the U.S. Shipping Board Emergency Fleet Corporations. These large ships, with hulls as long as 282 feet, were built in Beaumont, Texas during World War I. Since many vessels were unfinished, they were abandoned in the area at the conclusion of the war or converted to barges or sold for scrap. Wow, I didn't even know this. Nearly 40 wooden-hulled vessels from the same corporation that are in East Texas rivers, the commission said on Facebook, making them one of the largest collections of World War I vessel abandoned sites in the United States. Wow. That's pretty awesome. I mean, it's a shame that they're all just down there rotting away. But man, it's cool that there's so many like right there in the United States, right? I think that's awesome. I think that's cool. That might not be as exciting as some of the other news I've talked about, but I think it's cool. That's the highlight of the show tonight, I think. Tonight, I mean today, I mean this morning, I mean whatever. I don't even know what time it is anymore. I have no idea. Okay, PC Gamer says Lord of the Rings Return to Moria marks the first time I've ever been excited for a survival game. Now that's interesting. Survival game where you troll around in goblin-infested mines with the dwarves, huh? Now that's tough because the last Lord of the Rings game was that Gollum game, and it apparently I haven't played it, but everybody, critics and players alike, said that it was terrible. But according to PC Gamer, Return to Moria is a game in which you return, of course, to the mines of Moria, the doomed and ghost-filled dwarven mine that Frodo and company had to journey through in Fellowship of the Ring. It's now the fourth age, about 70 years after the destruction of Sauron's ring. Interesting. That makes the game the first one set so late in the chronology. Presumably finding their lives lacking tension in the aftermath of Sauron's defeat, the dwarves have decided now would be a great time to try plumbing the depths of their most legendarily cursed bit of cultural heritage, Moria, and reclaiming all the lost glory entombed within. That's your job. Interesting. It's probably a roguelike, whatever they call those, where you go down and you explore a certain amount and gain little upgrades, and then as soon as you get killed, you get to save certain of your upgrades with a new character, and then you do it again, and you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper with better and better upgrades, but you have to keep getting killed in between, which drives me crazy. But that's cool. I'll look into it. I like some of that kind of stuff. I don't mind it. Ooh, okay. From phys.org. You guys knew that website was going to come up. phys.org. New experimental research measures the speed of molecular charge migration for the first time. Now, what does that mean? It's about how light interacts with molecules and electron dynamics. And I mean, that might go over some people's heads. A lot of it may go over my head. I'm not a genius, let me tell you. But this sounds awesome. This sounds cool. I'm reading it now, and I don't even want to tell you about it because it's got so much, like, I don't even understand half of what I'd be saying here. But I think it's cool. Look up the article. phys.org, phys.org. New experimental research measures the speed of molecular charge migration for the first time. Look that up and read it for yourself, and then tell me what it means, because it sounds awesome. It sounds awesome. Associated Press says North American grassland birds in peril, spurring all-out effort to save birds and their habitat. And that's probably due to all the spreading out of people and the taking down of trees for building material and all that other good stuff, and farmland, lots of farmland. And we've been struggling to keep our bird populations up for about a decade, I think, if I remember correctly. And It's rough. You need birds. You need to have birds both to fertilize certain things, certain flowers, and to get rid of certain troublesome insects and certain other like certain rodents and things like that. You need to have birds around, and we're gonna suffer if we don't. Kind of like the bees. We don't have the bees, and we're gonna have problems. Gonna have to fertilize our own food, and I ain't got the equipment for that. I'll tell you. Here's another one from phys.org. Massive and multi-phase gas outflow detected in the galaxy Cosmos 11142. How far away is that? Let's see. It doesn't say how far away it is. It does say that it has a half-life radius of about 2,000 light years. And previous observations have found that it is in the post-starburst phase, immediately following the rapid quenching of a star formation episode. The current star formation rate of this galaxy is estimated to be between 1 and 10 solar masses per year. That's pretty cool. It's pumping out stars. And it's apparently like massively tossing out neutral and ionized gas. I wonder if it means it's forming a new black hole. That'd be awesome. I mean, you don't want to get stuck in a black hole, but that's cool. That's pretty cool. I love space. You guys know that. I love space. Here's an interesting one from Associated Press. Study reveals how much carbon damage it would cost corporations if they paid for their emissions. I know there's a big push in order to get people to care more about the climate, to get corporations to pay for climate damage. And here it says it could eat up about 44% of their profits if they had to pay damages for it, according to a study by economists of nearly 15,000 public companies. That's dangerous. 44% is going to lead to a lot of layoffs, a lot of cut corners. Oh man, like the capitalist system here in the United States cannot handle that strain. That's where things like our huge inflation has come from. And I know people want to save the environment and everything, but remember, the environment will eventually save itself. We may not last, and that's our own fault. That's too bad. I mean, I don't want to go, but I mean, if we kill the environment, we kill the environment. But the planet will go on after us. It will. I nearly guarantee that. It says nearly 90% of that calculated damage comes from four industries: energy, utilities, transportation, and manufacturing of materials such as steel, which is all things that we require, that we can't just get rid of. You see the problems, you see the issues in trying to fix this thing and mandate change. This is like the lifeblood of society. You can't fix it by mandating and by legislation. You can't. Who knows? But that's cool. Now, this is interesting because my daughter just watched this yesterday. Or no, she watched it today, actually. Well, no, now it's the next day, so she did watch it yesterday. My time's all over the place. It's from Polygon, and it says Cinderella's 4K restoration team says her colors have been all wrong for decades. Most of us grew up with a copy of a copy of a copy of the 1950 animated original. And it says, for many years, Cinderella was not the right colors, says a Mr. Eric Goldberg. Her hair is dusty blonde and her dress is silver. And over the years, we've seen her hair look the color of Cheese Whiz. Anybody remember that? We've seen her dress be bright blue. We've seen all sorts of stuff. So going in for myself, Michael Giamo, the first thing was, let's get that hair and dress right. That's a good attention to detail. I don't think it needs to be in 4K. Not everything does. but good attention to detail anyway, I suppose. So, yeah, that's what we got. That's the news. That's the news. Oh, here's one more. Here's one more. I just saw come up from CBS News. Brian Koberger's trial is postponed after Idaho student stabbings suspect waives right to speedy trial because he wants to drag it out and sow doubt because he's a law student, remember. He used to watch all the different, like, he used to take law classes and all that other kind of things. And they found his DNA on the weapon at the scene. And his alibi is that he likes to drive around at night. And he was probably just out driving around that night and wasn't anywhere near it. I think he did it. He's got a look, and maybe that's stereotyping, maybe that's typecasting. I don't know. I think he did it 100%. But he should still get a fair trial for it. You know, if they make him innocent, they make him innocent. But I think he did it. I think he did it. That's tough. I'm going to follow that pretty closely. I hope justice is served in that case, like it was in the Apocalypse mom who killed her kids, because she's in jail forever, and that's good. She deserves it. So I hope something positive happens out of here. Who knows? I'll keep an eye on it. But that's it. That's my half hour of the news. That's Sippin' Coffee with Spider. I hope you folks had a great morning. I hope I had a great day yesterday and a great night. And I hope you're ready to have a great day the rest of the afternoon. I'm going to take a nap and start my day. And then I'll see you next time. Have a good one.